Hi, welcome. This is the Commercial Real Estate with Pam Goodwin and Shelby Beckman. We are so excited today. We have one of my favorite friends who knows accounting inside out, who's helped me with my real estate business and is going to help you and Shelby on common errors that you don't want, how to save lots of money, and we're going to find out the #1 question that wealthy people ask their CPA. So stay tuned. We're just going to take a short commercial break on Propelio TV, and we'll be right back.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Lifeonair.
Hi, thanks so much for joining us. I'm so excited to be here talking about commercial real estate. Hi, Shelby.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How was your weekend?
It was too short. How was yours?
It was good. I actually spent the time in Chicago at my niece's graduation, and I always think the best thing about traveling is seeing all of the new retail happening, especially in downtown Chicago, walking along Michigan Avenue.
Yeah.
And seeing some neat sights. But yesterday we were able to go into a new place called Italy. Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Oh, have you been to one?
I don't think I've been, but I've heard of it, or I perhaps have been.
So this one in Chicago is 2 levels, about 60,000 square feet. They have 9 different restaurants, and they had more than 10,000 different wine bottles.
Oh, wow. And so is it, I'm assuming it's all Italian food.
It's all Italian food.
Yum.
I know. And so
60,000 square feet?
Yeah, so 2 levels of all of this stuff. The founders from Italy decided to bring this concept to the United States. I believe they have 6 locations now, but the exciting part, the reason I wanted to go see it is because we are getting one in Dallas.
Oh, wow. Is it going to be 60,000 square feet?
They said it's going to be comparable that size, and they're going out at North Park.
Oh, wow.
So,
that's huge.
Yeah, so that'll be a really, really nice addition. And then I was able to go inside the Apple store. Have you been to the one in Chicago, the one it overlooks the river?
No.
I think it's an incredible two-level Apple store that has the entire window view of the river out there. It was absolutely gorgeous. A lot of people in there taking some classes.
Oh, really? They do classes?
And they had a huge screen on that, so it was really exciting. And so we had a good time in Chicago, and I also wanted to talk about another new concept. Do you like dogs?
I love dogs.
But I just read about this today, but it's called the K9 Cinema that's opened up in Plano, that you get to bring your dogs, and then they have unlimited wine.
Okay, that's so perfect. I can't wait to bring Jagger.
I know, isn't that a neat idea?
Yes, that's so cute.
So I have to go check it out. So everybody, I love, that's the best thing about traveling or driving around on the weekends, just to be able to, see what's happening in the retail world. So
oh, that's so great. So is it an outside thing since their dogs are there?
It looked like from the pictures inside with the dogs have their sofas to, sit on, or they can be next to you and you get to watch a movie together.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I know.
Maybe that's where I'll find a nice man.
At the K9 Cinema.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I wanted to go over with you. How's your homework coming along?
Well, it's great. I have my target demographic whenever you're ready to go over it.
So it was so exciting for me to be able to go to Shelby's Power Fit in Fort Worth to try it out. So I always feel, especially if you're representing a tenant, there's a picture of me trying it out. And I think it's great. Shelby, she has a great trainer out there, but it's so nice because you're able to work out for 30 minutes. That's equivalent to 90 minutes. And it was really nice to see, what's in your area, why you found that location, what we need to do to find your second location, and really break it down. Because, in the past, they used to always say location, location, location. But it's actually more in retail. It's really customer, customer, customer. And you know how important that is. So I've asked Shelby to do her homework of finding out who your ideal client is, your ideal, some people call it an avatar.
Oh.
And so now that you've been open for business for what, 4 months?
Yes. Oh, officially a month, but 5 months unofficially, yes.
But Fort Worth is, I think you're probably about an hour away from where I am, so you definitely need a location closer to where I live, because I thought it was so much fun.
Good.
And it's such a different, workout that I've done in the past. So tell us a little bit how you found the location, and then we'll go into your ideal demographic.
Yeah. So I actually, even though I'm a realtor, I worked with a commercial realtor because I hadn't lived in Fort Worth in a while, and so I needed someone that knew what they were doing and knew the lay of the land and knew all of the new developments. But I was actually going to ask you if you had any, suggestions on what if I could have chosen a better space. I kind of feel like the space I chose, it was 933 square feet, which was a perfect size. It's not too big, not too small. It's in an up and coming area in Fort Worth, the Foundry District, and I really loved the two girls that built the Foundry. So I thought it was a great location.
Yeah, I think it's a good location. It will continue to get better, because if you go just a little bit farther to more of the Montgomery Center down there.
Yes.
But, I can talk also about to give you some suggestions or some recommendations after visiting the class.
Yes.
That we talked about to help on that, because it's so important to know who your customer is. And nowadays there's so much retail that's walkable that people are really looking for, to be able to go work out, walk, possibly even go walk home. Or it seems like most people want to work out within a 10 to 15 minute drive distance.
Yeah, that makes sense. And another reason I chose this area, it's in the Linwood area. It used to be, older, a little bit run down homes, but they've scraped them and they've developed nice townhouses, condos. There are some apartments. They're not fully occupied yet, but I think it's a great area, and there's still some houses that the people are holding out because they're asking, $400,000 just for the developer to come and scrape the house and build something. Yeah, so it's a great area, and I think it's just going to keep picking up.
Yeah, I could definitely see, finding your second location, and we can go over it in a little bit, but talking about where we went today in Plano.
Yeah.
How Shelby and I went to go visit. We had a listing meeting together. I invited Shelby to attend with me to see, the kind of questions I asked. What did you think of our meeting this morning?
To be honest, I was so overwhelmed because I am so new to commercial real estate that I felt like I just need to sit in your pocket for a few months so I can pick up everything. But I was very impressed with you.
Oh, why, thank you.
And you're so calm, and I'm always just so excited that I'm getting to work with you and getting to learn from you. But I was very impressed about all of the lingo you knew and how just different. You're awesome.
Oh.
So thanks for letting me come with you. And I was so glad that I didn't have to answer any questions. I kind of just got to sit back because I do not know as much as you, obviously.
Well, thanks. So I'm glad you asked, and I asked if you could attend with me. So if any of you are wanting to learn more in commercial real estate and you know someone, just ask if you can tag along to a meeting, just so you can kind of learn the lingo and start, going over that with them. But I'm excited about finding your second location. So your homework was to really I gave you a book of what a national tenant looks for when we're analyzing a site. And we can go through 25 different sites, but the national tenants know exactly who they're looking for, from where they shop, age, all of that. So what did you come up with?
So my target market would be moms 35 to 55. Obviously they're outliers, but the target market with children that are in school. So moms that probably don't have full-time jobs. Their husbands have a higher disposable income, and they have a little bit more free time to come work out. So I don't know if you want me to break that down anymore, but I'm in 76107, which is a very prominent zip code in Fort Worth. So that was also part of the driving factors. I'm right next to Rivercrest. Shady Oaks is right down the road. So these are Monticello. These are nicer neighborhoods where they've got a higher disposable income. So, and most of them have children. Not most of them, but many of them have children that are in school. So they play tennis and they get to go to the grocery store. They get to go shopping. They get to lunch. So I think that's mostly my target market.
And so you can even break it down really more on where they shop, what kind of car they drive. And I think that it was really interesting working out because the machine vibrates and it kind of takes a little bit to get used to it.
Yeah, it does take your body a few minutes to get acclimated, and some people it takes 1 or 2 times to get acclimated, just depending on your body, how your body reacts to that.
But I thought, I read on the machine that it says it's a medical device.
Yes, it's a certified medical device.
And so when I walked in, you already had a client there that Gina, the trainer, was training him. And I just thought, you would think it's only for workout, but besides working out, I really see your clientele can be, as we discussed, for the medical department on a broader, reaching out to those groups in that area. You could even go possibly more, next to a hospital, medical, walkable.
Well, and that's one thing that we were talking about too, is since the baby boomer generation is older, the only thing is it's a certified medical device in Europe and Australia. They don't have the money to push it through the FDA here. So, and plus, all it takes to get through the FDA here is a lot of money. And, there have been studies and research done with people that have MS, children that have cerebral palsy. It helps with proprioception, like mobility and stability in the elderly. So I think it's slowly going to catch on, especially here. Like it's already caught on in LA. But no, I think you're definitely right. And if I could somehow get linked up with insurance companies, however, insurance companies don't reimburse anything. But
I thoroughly enjoyed working out. So now, it always helps to know, especially if you're representing a client, to definitely eat there, shop there, work out there, and really know it. So next homework we're going to look, I know instead of leasing space, we're going to consider buying a building. So that will be our next homework of looking, now that you know kind of your ideal client will be, going on demographics to find out exactly where that avatar ideal client lives. And we'll start breaking it down from that in different areas, more in North Texas, the Plano, Frisco, Allen, McKinney up there, and see.
And there's just something about Dallas, uptown Dallas. I know it would be so amazing there.
We need to look there too.
It's just the price per square foot. But maybe we can find an old building and revamp it. And
we'll definitely find, similar to where you are in Fort Worth, that type of older building. Just, find a location like that. So we'll find that.
Good.
So I'm excited for you. So that'll be our next homework, finding the next second location. And then the next thing I wanted to go over on the last episode, a lot of people are always asking me what books that I recommend for commercial real estate. So I wanted to let you know, on the National Association of Realtors, did you know that the NAR Realtor, I have it pulled up here, but they actually, as a member, they actually offer all of these free books that you can download.
I know, I had no idea. That's awesome.
So go to the National Association of Realtors, and then over here under education. Where's my mouse gone? Let me move this. I'll do this. So under education, you go here, and then you go under library and archives. Click on that, and then scroll down. And then over here under the eBooks catalog, click on that. And it shows you all of the books you're able to download.
That's awesome.
So we're going to go up here, and we're going to search real estate.
You want me to move this right here?
And let's go down here let's go under real estate investment. And you can see it pulls up 173 books that, if you're a member, look at all these great books. that you can borrow
That's
under
great.
ebooks.
And that's something I didn't learn that when I was taking real estate classes.
I know, look at all those different books. So instead of buying them all that kind of sit on my mind, I have a whole pile of them.
Mm-hmm.
And so look at all that. So you can scroll through that, and they offer all kinds of different discounts. So I just wanted to bring that up, you know, if you have interest in reading any of those books in your spare time.
No, that's great information, and I will definitely utilize that because I did not know that that was available.
I know, it's great. I'm going to download some myself.
I know. I wish they were audiobooks.
They do have some audiobooks.
Oh,
a lot
good.
of those are audiobooks. So they have a lot of different books besides real estate that you can learn on too, on leadership and business books, and just they have a Spanish collection. So you can download it on your Kindle books.
Okay.
And you can have all of that. So that's a great resource to have. Anyways, we are going to, when we come back, we're going to have the elite CPA that has really, really helped me in my commercial real estate business, from getting started to setting up the correct LLCs or S corporation, everything we need to know in business so that we can save time and save money and keep more in our pocketbook so we can keep investing more. And she's going to tell us exactly, you know, a lot of these different, why it's so important to have the right accountant for your real estate company. So we're just going to take a short break. So come back, like, share, start asking us questions. We're just going to take a short commercial break on Propelio TV, and we will be right back.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
Oh, welcome back. We're glad you stayed with us. We've got our wonderful CPA here.
Thank you. That was such a great introduction.
I was kind of caught off guard.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to have CPA Valerie Fratiani from
Burson and Associates.
Burson and
yes.
Associates. I have known Val for now coming up to 20 years. Actually, our sons were babies together, and so I was barely getting into commercial real estate at that time. But when I found out she was an accountant, and besides, you know, her being an accountant, really just having kids together, we've been friends for a long time. And now she has saved my real estate business. And then I really feel the number one person you need on your team, your business that you own, is definitely having the right CPA. So I am so glad you're here. We have a ton of questions to ask you from, you know, everybody always wants to know the correct LLC and the different partnerships, and I'm always asking you lots of questions and tax deductions. And I know in real estate, probably because I'm more right brain person, and so that left brain person, that analytical, probably more people in real estate like to do deals. But I can admit, when it comes to the financial part, I would much rather give it to someone that I can totally trust and that I don't have to worry about it at all. So, and I also wanted to say, she is just a fabulous marathon runner in her spare time.
I'm retired.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
I know. I was trying to keep up with her, but I couldn't
Yeah.
get past my 10K. So when she does the marathon,
Yeah.
and 2 kids, 2 teenage kids, married for a long time. And
Yeah.
so anyways,
Yeah.
we're glad you're here. And
Thank
you're
you.
over tax season just recently, and
Yes.
you survived.
I did a few more gray hairs, but
Well, thanks
yeah, it was number 21 at Burson and Associates and number 26. So it's that's a lot of tax seasons.
Yeah.
That's a lot of tax returns.
Yeah, yeah,
A
exactly.
lot of numbers.
Yes, it is, for sure. A lot of numbers.
I know. I was reading in your bio also that you're a negotiator. You did some negotiation with the IRS.
Yes, so, you know, part of what I have to do sometimes is controversy work, which some people like, some people don't. I don't mind it, but making sure that if my client gets a tax notice, that they understand that notice and that notice is fair, and just kind of making sure that if my client owes a lot of money, is there anything we can do to negotiate with the IRS for that? So done some offer and compromises, working out installment agreements, things like that to help taxpayers that might get a little behind work out a solution that works for them. But the bulk of my practice is spent taking care of professionals and people starting businesses, or people that already have businesses, just like Shelby here. So, I also love getting to know what my clients do. So you talked about one of the things that was very important to Shelby would be to make sure that you understand what your clients' needs are and maybe go and visit their space. I like to do that with all of my clients also. So, I'd love to come and hang out with you.
Come on by. We'd love to have you.
Yes, I've got another client that's opening a climbing gym actually in downtown Dallas.
Okay.
So I can't wait to try that. I think it's a bouldering gym, which is pretty.
Indoor climbing?
Yeah, so indoor bouldering. So each week or each month, the bouldering is going to change the layout of it. So I think it's pretty neat. And I've got a boxing gym client, and I work out with my friend Jerome 2 or 3 times a week. So I make sure that that's one of the neat things is I get to try all of what my clients' businesses are. Yeah,
that's awesome. We'll have to go rock climbing.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'll watch you from the bottom. So I know in real estate, so many of us like to do everything by ourselves, and probably think we could probably do our own taxes by ourselves. Thank goodness I don't do that. But what do you recommend if, for our viewers out there, they're thinking, I do it myself now. I do my tax returns myself, or hey, I do need to find a CPA. And I always recommend, finding, since you specialize in commercial real estate, and a lot of your clients are in commercial real estate, but what would you say some of the questions are? Because you Google, CPA accountant, and just like commercial real estate, thousands come up. And I know referral is a good way to find, even if anybody's asking me now for a CPA, you're the one, right, after everything that you've done for my company and myself, to refer you. But if they didn't know, what are some of the key questions on having the right CPA to make sure that they're aware of all of the services that you provide? Because over time, I've come up with, it started off as this, but now we probably have a list of everything that you've done for me, which is just, I think, amazing.
Well, so one of the first things you want to make sure is when you're interviewing a CPA, if they don't start off asking you about what you do, then you should realize that you might not be with the right person. So that's the one of the most important questions that I ask when I get a new referral is, tell me what you do. Tell me about your business so I can understand it. Then I ask, how are you structured? And a lot of people that come to me actually don't have a structure yet. So if Shelby is just starting out, one of the key questions that they will ask, and I don't want to jump ahead in any of your questions here, is, do I need an LLC? How should I be organized? So you want to make sure that when you're choosing a CPA, that you choose one that really listens to, you describe your business, and someone that's also likewise pretty passionate, I think, about their business. Somebody once called me a unicorn as a CPA because I actually had a personality. But you want to make sure that it's a good fit because it is going to be a really key, important relationship. So I would say that if you call a CPA that's a potential referral and they don't call you back within 24 hours, that might not be the CPA for you if that's something that's important to you. I mean, the number one reason that people come to me, they can get their tax return done anywhere. They come to me because they like me, because they trust me, because I call them back, because I return their emails in a timely manner. And that is almost one of the largest complaints. I get clients all the time that say, my CPA never called me back. I didn't feel important. I was just a number. So you want to make sure you hire someone that you feel comfortable with, and that somebody who will call you back.
That's right.
Somebody that asks about your kids. You know, those things are important.
Building, it goes back to building relationships.
Yes.
Well, so I did meet with a CPA, and I feel almost a little bit guilty on my end because I'm so small, so I almost feel like I'm a waste of time. So that makes me feel a little bit better because I have not heard back from him after multiple, and I feel, you know, I don't want to be annoying because I am such a small client, but that's not in my wheelhouse. Accounting is not, so I need someone like you that I can trust and that will call me back or email me back.
And, you know, to me, I feel like no question is too small. And I love to work with clients that are just out of the gate. I'll give you an example. I had a new client who, she is a custom motorcycle dealer. She works on Ducati motorcycles. And 2 or 3 years ago, she came to me with, you know, very little in her tax return. But I decided that I was going to do her accounting and her tax return for a very reasonable fee because I believed in her and I wanted to invest in her. And you better believe it, she's never leaving me.
Right.
You know, so I think, you know, too, if you find a CPA who's willing to invest in you those first years and answer those questions that might seem silly, I have found that it has paid off for me in my practice immeasurably. You know, one of the things I like to do is give away a free half hour every day. My clients know that I pretty much have a half hour from Allen to Dallas in the mornings and a half an hour from Allen, you know, or from Dallas to Allen in the afternoons. And I often get a text that says, hey, anybody already booked for this afternoon? So if I'm not listening to a podcast or an audiobook, I like to give away that time because I think it's important. It allows me to connect with clients and, you know, they love it. They don't get a bill. They don't feel nickeled and dimed. So
Well, that's good karma.
Yeah.
It's paying it forward.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's nice. I have your home phone number, your your cell phone number, and I know where you live.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
But then, no, I don't ever take, you know, abuse you too much on that time frame.
Yeah.
But I think it is so important, especially in the real estate business. I have learned so much from you on what to look for, especially structuring. You know, I have Goodwin Advisors, LLC, and we went with an LLC on that versus S-CORP, C-CORP going over that. And then I also do business as Goodwin Commercial. So maybe you can, you know, maybe for Shelby, how you're set up currently in your businesses, and then Val can kind of go over on starting a business on how to get really started and to go over some of those.
I did have the DBA question. Is that a law question or is that CPA?
We can try.
Well, I was just wondering how the DBA it worked because I know a lot of businesses do the DBA.
Sure.
So what's the point?
Yeah, so you can go to the county in which you live and register your DBA. And from an IRS standpoint, a lot of times you'll have, you know, one client name, so Shelby LLC, DBA, you know, my gym, whatever you want to call it. So that's pretty common to see.
Okay, so what's the point of that? Like, why wouldn't you just call it whatever your business is? Why?
Because sometimes people choose an LLC name based upon the letters in their kids' name, you know, kids' things together, or they might choose it based upon an address or something, and then their needs change. But it's expensive to start up an LLC every time. You know, a good lawyer, is probably going to charge you $1,500 to set up an LLC for you, and that should include your filings with the state of Texas, and it also should include an operating agreement. So you don't want to just throw those things away.
Okay, and can you do multiple DBAs? Like if I had like S. Adeline Corp or LLC, could I have multiple DBAs or?
So in the same LLC, you can have different lines of businesses. So I'm not sure if you can register multiple DBAs. That'd probably be a legal question, or you know, but you know, certainly I have clients that have various branches of their company all rolled up into the same entity.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long? I know every time I need an LLC, I just call Val and tell her I need a new LLC. When we purchase commercial real estate property, we put a separate LLC under each property that we own, which is separate. But How long does it typically take to get an LLC to get that name verified first and then run it through the state? What's that process?
The outside service we use is like a legal aid service, or I think it's called Lawyer's Aid. So they take about 48 hours to return that information. So from the time a client gives me their name until the time they have their business registered and their certificate of formation, that takes about 48 hours. Now, the operating agreement part is a part that a lawyer has to do for you, and that can typically take longer. And when you get those operating agreements, a key component of what I do, in fact, I did it this morning for someone Pam sent me actually, is I reviewed her operating agreement to make sure that it was appropriate for the type of structure she had, because a lot of these are just boilerplate LLC agreements that the lawyer will just pull down. And in fact, in this particular agreement, the last LLC that we formed for this client, or that the lawyer formed for this client, was going to be an S corporation. When you go to the tax section for this one, which is going to own some commercial real estate property that she's going to then lease to her business, it's not going to be an S corporation. We don't want to own commercial real estate property in an S corporation. So I had to go back to the lawyer and have him take out all of that language. So, you need to find a CPA who is very comfortable reviewing LLC agreements from a tax standpoint. And then somebody who can actually get some language back to your attorney, when a change is needed. So you want to make sure you pick someone who has done it a time or two.
That's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to send mine over to you.
Yep. So I'm looking at it from the tax standpoint only, not performing the legal services part. But I can certainly know that, every good LLC agreement, when you have multiple people, needs to have, what happens when someone dies, what happens when somebody wants out, and, what kind of tax return are we going to file? So there needs to be a section for all of those things in your LLC agreement. So you were asking me what what structure to pick. And my answer is it depends. But the most common structure that I see used right now is just an LLC. So, an LLC can be lots of things. I don't know if you knew it. It's like a chameleon. An LLC can be a sole proprietorship. An LLC can be an S corporation. An LLC can be a corporation. And if you choose nothing else and there's two people, an LLC is a partnership. So it can be file any one of those 4 tax returns based upon the elections that you make. So normally I say, go ahead and form your LLC. And then kind of as we get started, we'll decide, what business form we want to have. We start off as a single member LLC on a sole proprietorship, and then if it's appropriate, we might want to be an S corporation later.
So I forgot to, I've got an LLC and I'm a sole proprietor, and I thought that I'd filed for the S-CORP and I didn't, which is totally fine. It actually worked out better that I forgot to file. But I am going to change that to an S-CORP.
Okay.
So, and I spoke with the accountant and he described it, but I don't know, do you maybe want to describe the benefit of an S-CORP over a sole proprietorship?
You want me to do that? Okay, so the reason that you might want to be an S corporation is there's some benefits, but there's also some, I don't want to say,
It's like some tax shelters, right?
Well, so one thing that you have to do, there's some rules. So there's a lot of benefits, but it also comes with some rules and it comes with some strings. One string is that you need to keep a separate set of books and records. When you're a sole proprietor, you don't need to do that. You can run your sole proprietorship right out of your own personal checking account, and as long as you give your CPA an Excel sheet, then that's fine. But an S corporation needs to keep a separate set of books and records, and they also need to keep a separate balance sheet. So you have the additional added complexity of you need to file a separate tax return. An S corporation also has to pay wages. So that's very important, and they have to be reasonable wages. So you need to then set up payroll, which can be expensive. I always recommend using Paychex or ADP for payroll. Those are the 2 #1 rated payroll companies, and they do it for cheaper than I would ever be able to do it. And really, I don't want to be in the payroll processing business. So you call, my friends Abby at ADP or PJ at Paychex, and they set my clients right up. And then what you can do if you're making sufficient money, and I don't put everyone in an S corporation immediately, there are some break-even points for me. But if you're making sufficient money, what you can do is you can designate that some of what I make is for my efforts, and that's my salary. And some of what I make is for my ownership, and that is what they call my distributions. So I draw a line between those two things, and by calling some of what I am making for my efforts a salary and some distribution, I'm able to save some self-employment taxes. Okay. So that used to be the number one reason why people would do an S corporation. But you need to make sure that your salary is reasonable. It is absolutely not reasonable for you to make $1 million and declare a $75,000 salary. I would never allow my client to do that. It's also difficult when you are the only one working in your business to say that a salary, less than all of it is reasonable. So I typically, will put someone in an S corporation. I love it when they've got some sort of a contract labor or someone else that helps them generate some of that income, because then I have a much better argument to explain to the IRS why the salary I've chosen is reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
if you're just, a lot of our viewers may be wanting to, I decided not to go to college, let's say, and you decide to start a real estate business.
Yep.
So is that when you should automatically set, if you're working for another broker, should you sign up for an LLC so you can do those deductions? Or when is the best so you don't have any heirs and you can get the best benefits starting a real estate business? You're 18 years old, you're 20 years old, I'm ready to.
So you're Michael or you're Grant, right?
Right.
So you do not have to form anything formal, and you could take the exact same deductions whether you're organized as a sole proprietorship, an S corporation, a partnership. I'm going to be able to deduct exactly the same types of things, no matter what I've chosen. But I might want to be an LLC because it gives me some liability protection. Yeah. Okay? And I might want to be an LLC because eventually I'm going to make a lot more money. And I'm going to want to take advantage of something I can show you on the next segment, which is the qualified business income deduction. And so therefore, if I make a lot of money, I need to be an S corporation to maximize that if I'm a commercial real estate broker, or if I'm in even residential real estate broker. I need to be an S corporation to maximize that. But S corporations, besides having to take a salary, another rule that you need to make sure that you pay attention to is that if there are two people in that, your distributions have to be equal. So if you and I form this gym together and we decide to be an S corporation, you don't have to give me the same salary if you're doing most of the work, but our distributions must be proportionate to our ownership. So you can't take $100,000 out and not give me some.
Okay.
I know when one property had the one partnership LLC that I had set up with a business partner that I was the general partner. And then you have a managing partner, general partner, and making sure all that's set up correctly and
And for those types of deals, I really recommend a partnership over an S corporation. An S corporation is great for someone performing services. A partnership is a really great vehicle to be in when we're going to invest in property. Yeah.
So all of this stuff, when I hear S-CORP LLC, my head starts spinning.
Yeah, it's a lot of information.
So that's why you have to have a really, top CPA that you can just say, Val, I trust you. Which one do I need to be in? Because you're passionate about it. I am not passionate about it. I just want to know, bottom line, I'm saving money to find the right one. And I know some of the other services as a CPA, besides the tax return that you help out with, are letting me know what quarterly taxes I have to pay. There's also, the franchise that just came up, and it's
May 15th. Yep.
So
franchise taxes.
Did you fill out? Am I filed?
Yes, it's all filed. Always. I'm the anti-procrastinator. You know that.
Yeah. So that's what's nice, is having the right CPA that she already has all of the information on the, a couple different LLCs we have. Personal taxes, setting up, strategizing.
And I love it when my clients use QuickBooks, especially QuickBooks Online. So that's what I would recommend that you subscribe to if you're starting out business, would be like QuickBooks Online, because then you just invite me to be your CPA or to be your accountant, and then I can view your activity in real time. And QuickBooks, it just links straight with your bank account or your credit card. So you just push a button, boom, it's there. And then you review the transactions to make sure you went where they wanted, and you call me and you say, where is this website or is this office? Where does that go? And I can just log on and I can put it where I want it. And I can, and then once a quarter, I don't even have to call you to see what your income was. I can just go in, look, see what it was. We have a discussion. I send you your payment. You're done.
That's a great place. We're going to have to go on hold.
Yeah.
But I want us to really talk about, we're going to take a quick break here, but we're going to talk about tax strategies. And I researched, and know from Val, the number one question that her wealthy clients ask, the CPA that you need to be asking her too. So we're going to take a quick break. And if you have any questions, please let us know, let Val know. We'll answer those for you. And we would greatly appreciate if you like and share this and give us some love. And we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
Hi, welcome back. Thanks so much for joining us. We have Shelby here talking about all the tax questions, how to save money as a business owner, now getting into real estate, what she's going to be needing for different LLCs. We have the expert and elite Valerie Fratiani, expert CPA, asking her lots of questions because she knows with now more than 20 years of being our CPA that I love to save money and trying to. So at least after the tax return, always coming up with a tax strategy on how to save the most money. And wanted to go over, just recently I had a couple clients, always when either my client needs to lease space or they want to buy from a conventional bank. As you know, the landlord wants to see 2 to 3 years of tax returns and a financial statement. And then if they're buying property and they have a conventional loan, so on a property we did take out a conventional loan, but these two clients, both of them were trying to get small business loans or even a conventional loan. So when it came to show their tax returns, even though I knew that they were probably $1 million plus earners, their tax returns showed that they were not making a profit. So if you want to, buy real estate and you feel that tax return, you probably can definitely go in more detail, but I was really surprised that both of their tax returns, the bank would not give them a loan because of how important it is on their tax return. So even though you think you can have all those deductions, if you're buying real estate, you want to show that you have profit. So
and sometimes I've even had people turned away for a loan, even though they have enough money in the bank that they could buy that property in cash. But we don't want to part with our hard-earned cash. My financial advisor always says, with loan rates so low right now, always borrow all that you can, and instead, give him the money to invest. But, the reason that your clients might not have a profit on their tax return is because of some of the new tax law changes that we've had. For instance, if you are buying, let's say, a multi-unit apartment building, okay, one of the key things that you need to do is pay somebody to do a cost segregation study on that. If if tax savings is important to you. And here's why. If you don't have that done and you bring me that closing statement and you paid $1 million for that property, I am going to put 20% to land if that's appropriate based upon the appraisal. And then I'm going to take the rest of that and I am going to, depreciate that over, 27 and a half years. It's a long time. And so by bringing me a cost segregation study that a qualified cost segregation person has done, what they're doing is they're going through and they're looking for property that qualifies for accelerated depreciation. So they're looking for the toilets, they're looking for the washer and dryers, because you bought all of that as part of your property. But unless someone specifically identifies it, you don't know what it is. And the reason why it's important is that anything with a 15-year life or less gets 100% bonus depreciation. So in that property, if my client paid $1 million for it, and the cost segregation study says that $500,000 of it is 15 years or less property, guess how much I get to write off? $500,000. Wow. So even though that guy made $1 million, let's say, as a commercial real estate broker, he's only paying taxes on $500,000. So it's a pretty great thing. And then you say, well, what happens at the back end, right? So now he has an offer on it and a year has passed and I've taken all this bonus depreciation. Well, what I will tell him to probably do is see if he can find another property to roll those proceeds into, because we've taken bonus depreciation and we'd rather not pay, a large capital gain on it. But if I've got a great offer, honestly, the worst, it's not a bad thing, to pay taxes occasionally. It's I don't find that to be the end of the world if it makes economic sense to my client. So that client can do a like-kind exchange, which I know you guys have both heard of, or he can even take his gain and roll it over into one of these new opportunity zones. And you can go to the IRS website. I think www.irs.gov. That's where I start. And they will then, you can find a link there, and you click on Opportunity Zone Resources, and there is a link there of all of the Opportunity Zones. Do you know what Opportunity Zone is?
I do not.
Okay. So an Opportunity Zone is proposed by the state, and then it's approved by the Treasury Department. And it is supposed to represent an economically distressed area. So let's say downtown Detroit, for example. Yeah. But there are opportunity zones here in Collin County, in Dallas County, and in Tarrant County. And they're on the IRS website. I think PAM'S looking for it. You just look up Opportunity Zone Resources there. Then there will be a list of all of the zip codes, and then you can go and search by zip code of what is a qualified opportunity zone area. And if you buy a property in that area, there's a chance to defer that capital gain. My client that I was telling you, that $500,000 capital gain, he can take that and defer that till the year 2026. Pretty neat. And if he keeps it that long, if he keeps it for 7 years, he gets basically a 15% step up in his basis. So at the end of the day, he's only paying capital gains on 85% of that. Okay. And then he has reinvested the money, and if he holds that property for 10 years or more, he can walk away paying zero capital gains on it.
Really?
On the reinvested money. So it's a really great thing that you should ask your CPA about. It's complicated, and you have to choose the right, you invest it in an opportunity zone fund usually. Mm-hmm. So you need to make sure that you have a really good CPA who understands that. You cannot go to H&R Block and expect them to help you with that. You need to have someone who's seasoned and understands. But so that's another great way that my client can save some money, and how a good CPA can help.
Wow, that's really awesome.
I don't know if you found the link or not.
Well,
but
I just found the...
Yeah, so you would go there.
Is it resources?
Right? Well, this is all about opportunity. Is there...
Yeah, I think it's maybe further down. Yeah, there it is. You just click right there.
On resources?
No, on the blue right there.
Yeah, let me...
Yep, right there. So you would click right there, and then it will take you... take you to some more resources, and there'll be a map and lists and all kinds of things there, so you can maybe share that with your viewers later.
Yeah, here's the map right there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I did not realize that.
Yeah.
So I could look for a property in an opportunity zone.
You could, you want to do this with, invest, capital gains money, and it doesn't even have to be sale of property. You can actually take a sale of a stock and put it into one of these opportunity zones and save some capital gains on the defer the capital gain on the original
Oh my gosh.
sale.
My mom's
Yeah,
accountant.
and you need to do, in order to get the full 15%, you have to do it before 2019, December 31st, 2019. Otherwise, it's reduced on the back end. But again, your CPA will tell you the specifics of it. You asked me what, kind of what another number one question that I get, and that question would be, is this a good expense or not? Should I spend money on this? My friend Allie called me. I'll give a shout out to Allie. Allie called me last week, and she says, hey, should I buy this car? Is that a good idea to save me money? And my question right back to her was, do you need that car? My philosophy about taxes is you never spend the dollar to save the 35 cents of tax or the 20 cents of tax or whatever your tax rate is. But you always find a way to take a dollar that I was going to spend anyway, and I try to find a way to make that tax deductible for myself. So that's a really important distinction, is when you're going out and setting up your new business, you may feel like you want to just go out and say, well, that's a business write-off. That's a business write-off. Let me take my CPA to lunch because that's a business write-off. And while your CPA loves that, you still have to pay for it. So it's far better if you didn't need to spend the dollar to hold that dollar and still have, the 65 cents left over in your pocket at the end of the day if you're in the 35% tax bracket. So, that's one piece of advice that I think I wish someone had told me when I was first starting out.
Not to
Yeah.
keep spending just so that you think you get
Right.
that tax return. And I wanted to go over, because you helped definitely when we bought that property in Tyler. But if you do a ground lease, when we did a ground lease with McDonald's, because McDonald's built the building, we were not able as owners to depreciate any of that building. But the other property that we bought, that we ended up doing $150,000 worth of construction on it for Mattress Firm.
Yep.
We were able to depreciate that building, and then I found out that I think we got something like about $17,000 back or something.
Yeah.
And so it's
yeah.
a great thing to bring to your CPA, right? To say, hey, I'm looking at this investment property. How much after the cost segregation can we save, just to see all of the benefits from it and how you can depreciate it? I mean, you can make money.
Right.
I felt like we made an extra $17,000.
All of a sudden.
Yeah.
So one thing that I do is when someone lets me have their QuickBooks file, I go through all of their improvements and I ask questions, and that's another key thing. When you're figuring out what CPA to hire someone who is curious. I ask questions. There are certain leasehold improvements that if you don't improve the load-bearing walls and you don't improve the common space and you don't improve an elevator, that those qualify not for the long depreciation, the 31.5 years, but they qualify for the shorter depreciation. So they might be able to qualify for 15 years, which now can qualify for a bonus depreciation. So you want to make sure that you are that you hire a CPA who's curious. If your CPA takes your stuff, spits a tax return back to you, and never asks you a question, you have the wrong CPA.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So even probably where you are now leasing.
Yeah, and I've always had a CPA, my dad's CPA do it, and I sold, because like you said, you care, and I don't know, and I've tried to write off things even just in my personal, but I feel like you will hold people's hand and kind of walk through why yes, no, what to improve on the next year, because me being a new business this year, I have a lot of stuff that I've probably been doing incorrect, but you'll actually hold my hand and tell me what I did incorrect.
Like
and need
literally.
to improve on next year. Yes.
Yes.
And that's to go over couple times a year a tax strategy of what you're trying to accomplish, if you know how much you're going to be making in real estate commissions, or if you plan on buying a building and all that. Another thing for Val is when we, once we had a tenant in that building and we thought about possibly selling it, and the rule, if you do acquire property, to wait a year.
Right.
So it's
long-term capital gain.
So if you could just go over to hold, it's all why a CPA recommends holding a property for a year before selling it.
Right, because you get a more favorable rate. So capital gains rates are graduated just like your regular tax rates, and they can be 0% if your income is low enough, and that's always a nice surprise for people when they find out that they paid 0%. Or it can be 15% if your income, if you're single, it's around $435,000 or less, then it's 15%, and for a married couple, it's about $488,000 or less. And then they have that 20% rate, when you're over that 435, 488 range. And then on top of that, you also have your net investment tax, which is your share of Obamacare on that as well. So it works out to, I just tell people, my wealthy clients, figure 24%.
So I don't think a lot of people realize that with the capital gains, I didn't realize it until we sold the property, that, is 20% of it, plus they added on an additional for the Obamacare for the capital gains.
It's your
to
net
pay for the health care.
It's your net investment income tax. So even though the health care mandate for having to have individual health insurance is gone, so for 2019, for the first year, if you don't have health insurance, you won't have that penalty. They haven't gotten rid of anything else. It's still required for employers, for large employers, to provide health care. And that we call it Obamacare, but it's the net investment income tax. It's an additional tax that you'll pay on your capital gains.
So with capital gains, though, isn't there a 1031 exchange? Like, let's say you made $500,000. If she invests the $500,000 in another property, then she won't have to pay capital gains.
That's
deferred.
correct. Yeah, they're deferred.
Okay.
Right, and so you can do that regular like-kind exchange where you have 45 days to choose the property and 180 days to actually close on it. Or like I was talking about before, there's these new qualified opportunity zone funds that may be of some use. But honestly, I think that those I have seen reserved for more we're talking a couple $1 million of gain that I haven't seen anybody go into those with a $30,000 capital gain, and quite frankly, I'm not sure it's worth the time and complexity. So you always want to make sure that you're doing something that's reasonable and makes sense.
And that's why you're the professional.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Val knows on one property that we did sell, it was a 6-figure capital gains we paid.
Yes.
And that was the hardest check I've ever written. I didn't even know how to write that.
But I told her this is a good problem to have.
It was a good problem to have, but
Jeez.
in the future, I would definitely, if you don't need the income right there, but I would highly look at doing a 1031 exchange, which so many clients have.
Yeah, we have a lot of people.
Continuously do a 1031 exchange. So
Yeah.
can it go through generations? Are you able to do that?
Yeah, so I don't know that you'd ever probably want it to go through generations, because one of the beautiful things is when you inherit property, you get a step-up in basis equal to the fair market value on the day that someone dies. So if your mom had a property that had been in the family for 50 years and it had a $10,000 basis, but then you inherited it, you get a step-up in basis to whatever it was on the day mom died. So that can be pretty significant.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't usually see that extend over generations for that reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Finding out from your CPA, as far as I was, doing a little research, and the lower income or the people just getting started, they'll ask you, how much are your services going to cost?
Right.
versus
That'd be me.
versus the doing the research on what the wealthier clients in your commercial real estate or any residential real estate clients will ask you, really those tax strategies. They want to know, bottom line, how much money can I save on taxes so that I can reinvest in more real estate.
Right. and that's what they like to do. They don't. They like to invest in it in their IRAs. They like it to invest in it anywhere they can. So, that kind of tells me where a client is in their life cycle, right? Mm-hmm. The first question is, what does this cost, versus, how can you help me?
But I think too, even though I'm very price sensitive, I would rather spend the money and have it done the right way than come back and have the IRS say, no, you did this wrong and now you're having to pay a penalty here.
Right.
You're gonna have to pay this over the, so it's, you may be paying a little bit more money up front, but you've done it the right way, and it's better to do it once and do it right than me try and, that's my take on it, is It may cost money, but in the end, it'll make sense.
Definitely save you money.
Mm-hmm.
I know with using Val and her company, you offer so many different services. I even needed a credit card.
Yeah, that's true.
and offering that type of stuff.
Yeah,
that can different things you set up, from QuickBooks to credit cards. To
we as a separate part of, it's not part of the CPA practice, but my partners and I own a credit card processing business too. They just seem to go hand in hand. So it can just be an additional value-added service that we're able to provide to our clients and our friends.
I know, that's great.
Yeah, and now we do it for the general public too. Yeah,
that's great.
That's so smart.
Well, we still have a little bit of time left, but we're going to take just one more quick break. So if you have any questions, please let us know, and we'll be right back on Propelio TV.
The Propelio Academy, an all-in-one education resource for training in wholesales, subject to wraps, short sales, flips, rentals, BRRRR, property management, and more. Go to propelio.com/academy to get your scholarship today. Propelio.com. What does Propelio offer? Lead generating websites, access to true MLS comps, off-market lead lists, and deal alerts. Get them all today at Propelio.com.
Thanks again so much for joining us. We have learned so much. Have you learned a lot, Shelby, all about having the right CPA, how important it is for your real estate business, for anything else, your tax returns, if you're investing in real estate?
I can't wait to hire Valerie. I'm ready.
It's great. Thank you so much,
You're
Val,
welcome.
for being here. It's
Thank you
great.
for
How
asking.
can our viewers get a hold of you if they have questions or setting up consultation with you? What's the best way?
So I think they can go straight to, I'm on LinkedIn under Valerie Fratiani. Burson and Associates has a website. Just Google Burson CPA, it'll come up, and then there'll be a contact us link. So that's probably the easiest way to get through, and then they'll forward it right to me.
You are based here in Dallas, but
Yes.
a lot of our viewers they're from all over the country. So do you also provide accounting services around the country?
Sure. I have clients that I've actually never met, that makes me sad because I'm such a people person. But I have clients all over the country, Denver, Montana, a lot of people in Montana. My boss used to live there, so that's why. So
well, that's good to know, all over the country.
Mobile world, you don't have to be local.
Yep. Great. Well, thank you so much. And we'll also put some information in the links, to get a hold of you. So thank you so much for being here on the Commercial Real Estate Show with Pam Goodwin and Shelby Beckman, and we will see you back next Tuesday. Thank you.
Propelio TV is sponsored by Noble Mortgage and Investments, Batch Skip Tracing, Think Multifamily, CreativeCashflow.com, and Lifeiner.
Thank you everybody for showing up to the Propelio event. We had a great time. It's huge as always. We love everybody that came. If this is your first event, you know, jump on Facebook, jump on YouTube, let us hear it. Let us know what your thoughts are. We love feedback. Anytime we could do something better, we want to do that. If this is your second event, your third event, your 10th event, let us hear that too. We're trying to create a community here where everybody comes together. So thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you at the next one.